Testing, testing, testing. Year. Testing, testing, testing. Perfect. Once again, guys, I only have one monitor, so bear with me. Gonna give everybody another minute or two. Another minute or two to join, and then we will go on and look at our charts. I kind of, I cheated a little bit about an hour ago. I woke up hour and a half ago. I looked at the charts on my phone. Pretty much everything like what we talked about yesterday, right? We already know market open Sunday night going into Monday. 90% of the time, the markets are going to move as soon as the markets open, and it's just going to continue to move throughout Asia and London sessions. So, wasn't really expecting anything out of the NYC session, right? We kind of already knew that the moves were going to happen last night. And again, especially when you have a weekend with a lot of news, a lot of political news, a lot of worldwide events, a lot of stuff going on with oil, the wars, just a whole bunch of stuff going on, guys. So, again, usually times like this, you should be expecting, again, when the markets open on Sunday, you could be expecting moves to just start happening right then and there. So, once again, just gonna give everybody another minute. Again, I only have one monitor with me here, so I'm gonna have to go back and forth from looking at the charts to then coming back to the screen to look at the chat. So, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to let me know in the chat. Any specific pairs you guys want me to go over, let me know. And I'll be going back and forth from the chat to the charts. Great rising, Jessica. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're feeling good today. Mr. Albert, welcome, my brother. Good morning, good morning. Great rising. Does that mean we should have stayed awake to catch those moves? A great question. So there's, could you stay up and wait for those moves and wait for, for your rules to play out? Yes, 100%. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. Me again personally, there's a 99.9% chance that I'm personally not going to do that. Is that the reason why I miss a whole bunch of trades that I could catch during Asia London session? Absolutely. However, I'm also on the other side of the fence with it. We'll talk about what's going on right now specifically. There's really there's no clean or clear structure as to what could happen. Right? With that being said, in a situation like this, when it comes to the markets moving due to political stuff, wars, stuff that happens worldwide, at any given moment, anything could pop off, and it doesn't matter what you're reading on market structure, it doesn't matter what you're reading on candlestick analysis, the market could just go crazy, right? And it's like what we saw last night during the session. Out of the 16 pairs that we're looking at, what, 7 of them were just in consolidation. No break of the highs, no break of the lows. It's just crazy candlestick movements happening at whatever time. So, the best way to answer this question, like, is there certain pairs that you could look at during these times? Absolutely, right? And at the end of the day, like, if you're trading Asia session, right, you don't want to be looking at a USD pair during the Asia session, right? Or a USD major pair during the Asia session because you know that it's really not going to move. Now, again, could it move? Absolutely. But if you're trading Asia session, for example, what pairs would I be looking at? Well, the number one pair I'll be looking at is AUD pairs, right? So AUD CAD, AUD USD, right? If I'm trading the end of Asia going into London, I'll be trading the NZD pairs, right? The GBP pairs, the JPY pairs. So it's not that it's impossible to trade it, right? You just got to know which pairs to look at during what sessions, right? It's the same way that you really wouldn't be looking at a JPY pair during the New York session. They're not going to have a lot of volume. So it really just boils down to number one, the pair that you're looking at that session, is that the right pair to be looking at? And is there any moves that you could catch? And we'll talk about some of them, right? Because I'll give you the example, right? Even though AUD is moving, right? Is it moving with the trend or counter trend, right? And at this moment, we know that AUD USD is a pair that's in an overall downtrend. This is a pair that we're looking for price to continue the push down to the bottom, right? It's a pair that's sitting at a lower high point on the daily time frame. If this wants to load, right? We know that this is a pair that we're currently looking for that lower high point to be set, right? We know we're trading lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Price consolidated for a few months, gave us a lower low, and now we're looking for that lower high point to be set, right? So, okay, cool. We have that gap that was filled. Price gave us a little type 3 pattern retest. In the lower high, it gave us an exhaustion candle, right? And we know that on the lower time frame, on the 30-minute, price started downtrending. It gave us a change of character. It gave us a break of structure. However, we also understand the power of the 800 EMA. Price respects it. Price never gave us a trend below the 800, never broke below the 800. Just gave us exhaustion candles, right? At 8:30, it gave us an exhaustion candle going long. At 10 o'clock, it gave us an exhaustion candle going short. And then the market opened Sunday night going into today, which is Monday, and price just skyrocketed. Continued to push up the entire Asia session. It continued to push up the entire London session. Now going into NYC session, STP's already hit. It gave us a change of character to the top side, right? So it's moving counter trend. So there's, again, could you look at these pairs? Absolutely, right? But you also just got to be aware, like, okay, if we were any other traders, just to give you the example, right? Let's say that you don't understand higher time frames, you don't understand the 800 EMA. All you know is the change of character, break of structure, right? How many traders do you think were caught in this trade? Thinking that, oh, we're going to get into this trade early, so we're going to get in Friday afternoon. We're just going to hold it through the session. And because price gave us a change of character and a break of structure, this means, oh, price is going to 100% going to continue this downtrend push, right? And as soon as the market opened, straight to stop loss, right? It took what? It took 3.5 hours, 4 hours from the time the market opened for price to go and hit your stop loss, right? So it all boils down to number one, again, market structure and what's really going on in the market. So again, is it a missed opportunity whenever price is moving this way? Not really, because we're moving counter trend. We know that, again, for me, specifically for me, I don't trade counter trend, right? Which is why in last night's session, you guys saw that I was pretty much going through each and every single pair, pretty much trying to see, like, okay, which ones could we actually trade, right? And we knew that AUD USD was moving counter trends, so that one is a no-go. AUD CAD, we're currently still in an uptrend on a pair that's in an overall downtrend, so we already know, okay, we're still trading between this higher high and higher low, and we're just moving sideways, right? And what happened during Asia session, London session, going into the NYC session? Nothing. Price is just moving sideways, right? So we already understood, okay, AUD CAD is another pair that I'm not going to be trading. We're just moving sideways. Euro AUD, right? This is all that I drew out last night. Everything that you're gonna see on the charts, right? In the session that we did for the weekly market breakdown. Euro AUD, we know we're in an overall uptrend. What are we currently doing? Lower low, lower high, lower low. Okay, so on the 30-minute, we're still technically on a downtrend. On the push from the lower low to the lower high, what did price do? It gave us a zone of consolidation. So we already knew, okay, cool. We already know what's gonna happen. Just gotta wait for either the break or we have to wait for an inducement of the low. Same thing that we drew up here. We're either going to be looking for the break to then continue to take these trades going back to the top side, or price is going to do exactly what we did up here, exactly what I drew out in the exact same place, right? This isn't in hindsight. This happened at 3 in the morning. I was asleep at this time. We drew this out at what? I turned the stream on last night around 7:30ish. So price was around this area. Picture perfect. Did exactly what we said it was going to do. It's going to give us an inducement, and then that's where we're going to see price either continue to fall down, or this is where price is going to start trapping traders and just continue to consolidate, right? We'll go look at EuroCAD, for example, right? EuroCAD, what are we currently doing? We had lower low, lower high, lower low, and then price decided to give us a huge zone where, okay, as soon as the market opened, this one went up. Now, would this have been a good trade? Could this have been a good trade during the Asia session? You know, bounce off the 50 EMA to continue the push to the top side. The fact that we're in peak high territory, this is another pair that currently at this moment is not following my rules. On top of the fact that we're in peak high territory, we had a bearish engulfing candle, understanding that this is a low probability bearish engulfing candle because technically speaking, we are still in peak high territory. The downtrend hasn't started yet, right? So just understanding that there's too many confirmations on this specific pair for EuroCAD, since there's so many confirmations going both ways, for me, this is a pair where I would stay out of it. Now, there would be a lot of people who would take advantage of this, right? On the lower time frames, you had lower low, lower high, lower low, change of character, right? You had to push to the top side. You had the 50 EMA, the bounce off the 50 EMA on the 30-minute time frame. There's a whole bunch of people who would just take this trade here straight into take profit, which isn't bad. But is it a clean, comfortable trade to take where you know if you take this again tomorrow or the next day, or if you take this trade a week from now, is it going to be a winning trade? That's the question that I ask myself every single time I'm hopping on the charts. It's like, okay, yes, I could see this, but I also understand why it wouldn't be a good trade for right now. I would rather wait for price to start trending into the direction, meaning turn around from making lower low, lower high, lower low. Let price do whatever it has to do here. Give us the change of character, right, which it did. And then as soon as price gives us the break of structure after the change of character, that's when I'll start trading. Right? Why? Because, okay, we could see that price gave us a change of character. We could see that there's a huge chance that price is going to give us 2 days of rise. So there's going to be a lot of people very similar to what happened to Euro AUD last week. Right? There's going to be a lot of traders on Friday who thought, oh, this is going to be a simple 372, right? A third day rise. And you can see that price, if you didn't cash out of your trade once price started rejecting these highs, you went straight to stop loss. Right? Why? Because you're taking a 372 in an area where price is still giving you lower lows and lower highs. See, that's why I'm very, very, very anal when it comes to waiting for that change of character and break of structure, especially when I'm looking for a continuation trade. Right? Because a continuation only happens on a trend, right? A continuation doesn't happen in a zone of consolidation. A continuation of price going long isn't going to happen if you're trading lower lows and lower highs, right? It's vice versa. The continuations are going to happen, right? 1, 2, 3, 372 going short. Where? When price is making lower lows and lower highs, right? Same thing up here. Continuations are only going to happen if price is making lower lows and lower highs. The same way that continuations on an uptrend are only going to happen if you're getting the change of character. Right? You got the change of character, you got the break of structure. After the break of structure, you had 2 days of rise. Right? You had 2 days of rise, you have the break of structure, you have the retest, boom, 372. The continuation happens only when you're trading with the trend. Right? So with that being said, once you already understand these rules and you're able to see it, because again, the market is going to give you these moves every single day, it allows you to realize like, okay, cool. I understand now that this EuroCAD 372 that could be developed for Tuesday, right, for tomorrow, is it a high probability trade? No, because technically speaking, we are still on a downtrend. So I wouldn't say, you know, when it comes to looking at all these pairs, at the end of the day, it's not really about the time that you're on the chart, it's whether or not those specific pairs have given you the moves that you need to see before you start looking for your entries, right? Because we don't want to be those traders who are in a trade too early and then we're in a position for 4 to 5 hours and price is just consolidating. Or we don't want to be those traders who get into a trade early and because we got into the trade early, price is still just hitting stop losses, is not really doing anything crazy. And then 4 or 5 hours from now, we go and we look back at the charts and it hit take profit. And it's like, oh, if only we would have waited X amount of time for price to start developing the moves and then catch the trade, right? Because at the end of the day, again, like what I always say, when you're going to look at a trade, when you're wanting to enter a trade, if they move, we move, right? If they don't make a move, we can't really do anything, right? There's nothing to play. They didn't give us a hand to play, right? It's just like chess, right? In chess, you can't make a move if your opponent hasn't made a move yet, right? You have to wait for his turn. Once he plays his turn, now you can see the board. Now you can see where all the pieces are. Now you can see a little bit better where you could go or where you can't go, what moves you have to block, which pawn you have to take out. So it's the same way in trading. Only difference is that in trading, you're going to have candlesticks print every second, every minute, every 5 minutes, every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes. You're going to have a candlestick print every single second. You're going to have moves that happen every single second. And is being able to realize which ones are the false moves and which ones are the real moves. Once you kind of see, okay, this is where the market is trying to fake me out and the reasons why, then that'll clear up the board and be like, okay, I just have to wait for this to happen before I start looking for this type of entry. Or I have to wait for this to happen before I look for that. So I hope that made sense. But again, we're just gonna pretty much go through these pairs one by one real quick, see which ones are left for the day. Right, AUD USD already hit ADR for the day, so that's already done. AUD CAD is super close to STP for the day, and this is also a pair that's still moving counter trend. We're still in a little small zone of consolidation as well, so AUD CAD, not gonna mess with it. Euro AUD also in a zone of consolidation and also moving counter trend, so I'm not gonna be messing with this. Gonna wait it out, wait and see what happens. Euro CAD got ADR for the day already. We got a little change of character going back to the top side, so we'll talk about this pair later tonight during the isolation session, and maybe we'll catch something for tomorrow, right? Maybe a potential 372. Euro USD, as you can see, as soon as the market opened, it went straight to ADR and it just continued to push throughout the end of London, or the end of Asia going into London session. We had lower low, lower low, and it gave us a change of character, higher high to the top side. We have a day of drop. Let me move this real quick. Right, so we'll be patient with EU. Moves for the day has already been made, so nothing left on the table for us. GA, we're still trading between the previous lower lows and lower highs. Right, once price gave us a lower low, gave us a little lower high, it gave us a zone of consolidation, just moving sideways. Where price is rejecting highs and rejecting lows. And we're still missing a few pips for STP, but again, we're moving counter trend. We're in peak high territory for GA as well. This is a pair that I'm not going to be messing with. Once we start seeing the trend, that's when I'll start looking to take those trades. GCAD already hit STP for the day, and again, very similar to EuroCAD, I believe it was, right? We have 2 days of rise. Today is going to be the second day of rise. We are in level 3. We were in a zone of consolidation on a higher time frame. On a lower time frame, we're in another zone of consolidation. We have peak high all the way up here, so we're still good. Looking for those trends. We have a week of rise. We had a little zone of consolidation. We have the break happening. This could be a little flag post pattern as well on the lower time frames, or on the 1 hour, 4 hour time frame. Price just breaks, give us a retest of the area to then continue. So GCAD is definitely going to be a good one to keep an eye on for the rest of this week. This is going to be an interesting pair to trade. But for right now, already done. STP's already hit. Any questions in the chat? No? Okay. GJ already hit ADR for the day as well. Continuing the trend, still giving us higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Then gave us another higher high point to the top side. This is another pair in peak high territory. We're in the highest point in the market so far. And we'll update our 30-minute highs and lows in tonight's session. Not gonna... We'll do this tonight during the session. Alright, so GJ is done. GU also very similar to EU. ADR is already hit and price just continued the trend during the end of Asia going into London session. So ADR is already hit for GU. Go on to the next pair. NZD USD, again also another pair that already hit ADR for the day. As soon as the markets open, it just flew and it continued to fly throughout London session, Asia session, hasn't stopped yet. But it's already done. US 30 already hit STP for the day as well as soon as the markets open. And this is what I'm saying too, right? On a day-to-day basis. And that's why it's very important to study each pair that you trade. It's very important to understand the characteristics of specific pairs, right? A pair like US 30, 99.9% of the time, US 30 is not going to move during Asia or London session. We see that all the time, right? That's why the type 1, type 2, and type 3 patterns are very easy to use on US 30, right? Because every single time you see it. Yeah, there'll be times where you'll have the moves again. There'll be that 1% where you'll see moves happen before New York session on US 30, right? Like on Wednesday, or I'm sorry, on Thursday, we moved a little bit during Asia and London, but the real move, STP, was really hit 9 o'clock, 9:30, right? Same thing with the next day on Friday, right? We consolidated all day up until when? Until 8 o'clock in the morning, the beginning of NYC session, right? The pre-market for the NYC session. And then what happens? 9:30, the real moves happen. Same thing here. We consolidate all day until when? 9:30. And then New York session happens, that's when the moves develop. Same thing here. We consolidated all day up until the end of Asia session going into London session, right? And then in London session is where the moves wanted to start setting up. And we ended up getting, you know, some clean moves at 8:30, 9 o'clock. NYC session happens, and what happens? US 30 flying. Same thing for this day, right? So it's just understanding the characteristics of different pairs and why is it that you don't want to trade US 30 during Asia session or London session? Because you already know US 30, we're just going to consolidate. There's nothing to trade here. We already know US 30 is a pair that you want to start looking at 6:30, 7 a.m. Get your charts ready. Look for an entry, right? If you have something clear, you take it. And as soon as the market's open, you know price is going to go into your direction every single time, right? Every single time. So US 30. Any questions so far with what I've said? Let me know, guys, in the chat. So far, so good. Right, USD CAD already hit STP, very close to ADR for the day as well, so that's already done. And that's a pair that I'm not currently trading anyway. USD ZAR, very similar to USD CAD, is another pair that I'm currently not trading, already hit ADR for the day. Gold, as soon as the markets open, went up and hit STP, continued the push, and we're super close to the ADR already. We still have these gaps at the bottom of the market. Price is still trending to the top side. Price already broke above our 4-hour and our daily time frame highs. We have 40 minutes for this 4-hour candle to close. This will be our confirmation of that 4-hour break, and then on the 4-hour time frame, we'll be trading higher high, higher low, and whatever higher high is set up here. And then for the daily time frame, we'll just have to wait for another daily candle to break above, pretty much to give us another set high, right? And then we'll be trading between this higher low on the daily time frame and whatever higher high is set at these highs over here. So, you know, gold is another one where the last couple months, you know, if you're not trading gold during Asia or London session, you're pretty much not really going to be able to catch anything crystal clear. But gold is another pair where gold is gonna move with whatever news is going on worldwide. So because we have so much things going on, and it's always something that's gonna happen at 10 p.m. You're always gonna see the news at 10, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. That's when gold is gonna move, right? So gold has a little area where there are a lot of times where if you're not trading this during Asia or London session, you're most likely not gonna catch a trade. Again, very similar to GJ. GJ is a pair, obviously, just because it is the British pound and the yen. You already know that's Asia session, London session. You have a 40%, maybe 30% chance of catching a trade on GJ if you're trying to trade this during the pre-market for the NYC session. Again, anywhere between 7 in the morning to 5 p.m. If you're trying to catch a trade on GJ between 7 in the morning and 5 p.m. New York time, you already know you're most likely not going to catch a trade. Right? GJ specifically is a pair that loves to move during the end of Asia going into London, or sometimes it'll give you the move like last night and like the day before on Friday, where it'll give you a move during the Asia session. Um, Bitcoin, when we saw it yesterday, yep, just a zone of consolidation where price is just rejecting highs and rejecting lows, just trapping traders. As soon as the market opened, went up, hit ADR, came right back down, and went back down to the low of the ADR. So Bitcoin is another one where we're pretty much just gonna wait it out. We're gonna start waiting for that trend to start developing, and then obviously, the masterpiece of the charts right now, oil, the one that everybody's talking about, the one everybody wants to go get their hands on. As soon as the market opened, obviously the news throughout the weekend was a lot of news with oil, right? Especially with Venezuela and everything that we're trying to do, and the tankers that have been caught by the military and Russia and all these other stuff, and now they're trying to say that China is in there as well, trying to get oil, etc., etc. As soon as the market opened, straight green candle to the top side, right? Hit STP as soon as the market opened and hit STP. It didn't even give us a chance, right? It didn't even let traders get into a trade. Spreads were still crazy. It was just straight green candle to the top side. So, for the most part, once again, 9 out of 10 times when the markets are moving this way anyway, especially when moves are happening as soon as the markets open, right? Once 5:36 p.m. hits, if you go and you look at your charts and you go and you sign in with your broker, you'll notice that either way, you won't even be able to take a trade. There's some brokers who don't allow trading for the first hour of the market. There's some brokers that have crazy spreads, 20, 30, 40 pip spreads. So even if you wanted to take a trade and you wanted to enter a trade, your position's not going to open in favor of where the trade is going. Right? It's gonna open it with the spread. You're gonna be in negative drawdown. The commission, right, that you're gonna have to be paying for that trade as well because you opened it during that time, during crazy spreads, is gonna be elevated, right? They're gonna increase that. Brokers always win, right? Regardless if you're trading a prop firm or a regular broker. Some brokers do that, some brokers don't. It's a hassle, right? That's why you always say it like, yo, don't trade the first hour, wait an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then go back on the charts, and everything should be back to normal. But on days like these, where as soon as the market's open, price has been giving you an entry, or price has been giving you the moves that we're looking for, or whatever the case is, it sucks for those kind of circumstances. But again, we understand that these circumstances aren't a everyday occurrence on the market, right? It's how you kind of go about it. Understand that there's really nothing you can do about it. It is what it is. We'll wait for the market to die down a little bit, wait for the market to do what it has to do. And then once we start seeing clear moves, that's when we'll start attacking again. But that's pretty much it, guys. Again, there's really no trades left for the day. ADR has already been hit for 90% of the pairs that we saw. The other 10%, STP has already been hit. There's really nothing left for us for today. My bad, I got a phone call. We still live? Yeah, yeah, we good. Just pretty much ask anybody has any other questions. Anything I said made any sense? But pretty much done. Yeah, everything already hit ADR for the day. Literally every single pair already hit ADR STP. So pretty much like I said last night, I want to get back into the groove of things. You know, even turning the streams on, even though there might not be any trades, at least you know, turn the stream on and do exactly what we just did now. Go over the pairs, talk about why we're looking for some moves or why not. You know, talk about what moves did happen, you know, or just clear up any questions that anybody has really. But that's pretty much it. There's really nothing left on the charts. So if there's any other questions, just let me know. If not, we'll be back again tonight for the isolation session. Love that. Yeah, I've kinda went away from keeping it consistent on the stream, but it hasn't been easy, bruh. Fucking car is still fucked up. Day 12 of the year, and it's just getting rocks thrown at me, man. You ready? Okay. Well, alright, guys. We'll see you later tonight. Peace out.